Wang Lin unveils a self-created reality-tearing spell, Sundered Night, that utterly overwhelms a Nirvana cleanser cultivator, a realm far above him, turning an impossible battle into a one-sided domination. I really love making these videos, but I need your support to keep going. Please like or become membership on your phone so I don't have to give up on this dream. Before Master Hollow Wind, a crimson sun emerged. Beneath that sun lay a vast sea, its waves surging and roaring without end. In that instant, Master Hollow Wind felt as if his body had dissipated, as though he himself had become the boundless night. Yet the moment the sun rose from the sea, unbearable pain erupted within him. It was as if his body were being torn apart. Even his origin soul was not spared. This was a pain he had never known. He felt himself being ripped into countless fragments. A powerful sense of mortal danger surged within his heart. Shock filled him. He spread his arms wide, summoning a storm of origin energy from the heavens, attempting to resist the force of Sundered Night. But the instant his origin energy spread outward, it was pierced by the blazing sun, just as night is pierced by dawn. The storm collapsed, shredded beyond recognition. In the blink of an eye, nothing remained. This is impossible. Master Hollow Wind's face turned deathly pale. Pain flooded every inch of his body. Blood flowed from his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. He coughed violently, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He retreated, yet horror seized him. No matter how he moved, the sun remained before him. All I can do is gamble everything. His hands formed seals. His Nirvana cleanser cultivation erupted. Only those at this realm could gather origin energy so directly, and he did so without hesitation. Strands of origin energy surged forth from the void, gathering before him like roaring dragons. In moments, they condensed into a sphere. The sphere was not large, yet the destructive force within it was something no Nirvana scryer cultivator could withstand. The moment it formed, the world changed color. The planet trembled. The three Chen brothers' expressions shifted instantly. They retreated without hesitation. Big Head and the others also withdrew, not daring to remain near the spell of a Nirvana cleanser cultivator. Master Hollow Wind's hair hung in disarray. The terror of life and death had driven him into a corner like a trapped beast. Killing Wang Lin no longer mattered. Only survival remained. What kind of spell is this? It contains an unimaginable law. This is not something a Nirvana cleanser cultivator should possess. With a roar, he thrust the sphere of origin energy forward. It shot out like a bolt of lightning, racing toward the blazing sun. Only by destroying this sun can I live. Fear filled his eyes as he watched it fly. The sphere moved with terrifying speed. As it approached, an overwhelming force erupted from the sun. It collided head-on with the sphere. A thunderous roar echoed across heaven and earth. The sound reverberated even through the void surrounding planet Water Spirit. The ground itself split, cracks spreading in all directions. The sphere collapsed. Master Hollow Wind let out a bitter laugh. Blood spilled from his mouth once more. At that moment, tearing sounds echoed from his body. Countless wounds appeared, instantly soaking his robes in red. Pain beyond comprehension surged through him. Were it not for the will he had forged over countless years of cultivation, he would have screamed. Now he could only endure. He felt as though he were the night itself, torn apart by the blazing sun. The sensation grew stronger and stronger until illusion and reality became indistinguishable. Not only his body, but even his origin soul was covered in wounds. It was as though countless invisible hands were tearing him apart. Even his origin soul suffered the same fate. In his dazed state, he saw the sun rising higher from the sea. Within that sun, a faint figure appeared. As the sun ascended, the figure became clearer. Wang Lin, the figure within the sun, was Wang Lin. At this moment, Wang Lin was the sun itself. Golden light radiated from him so intense that none could see his true form. Below the sun, the sea faintly reflected the mountain peak where Wang Lin sat. Fear filled Master Hollow Wind's eyes. That was not a sun. That was Wang Lin. That was not a sea. That was the mountain peak. Yet the force tearing him apart was undeniably real. Gritting his teeth, he endured the agony and reached for his storage bag. But the instant his hand touched it, his right arm shattered and dissipated. Countless treasures burst forth from the bag, attempting to shield him. Yet they were far too weak. The moment they appeared, they exploded one after another. His eyes turned bloodshot. At the brink of death, his flesh body rapidly vanished. In its place, a massive black stone tablet appeared. Ancient runes covered its surface. Coiled around it was a colossal black python, a horn growing from its head, on the verge of becoming a true dragon. With a hoarse roar, the python opened its jaws and lunged toward Wang Lin. The stone tablet tilted, then descended as though the heavens themselves were collapsing. It covered the sky. It crushed downward with unstoppable force. Wang Lin remained seated atop the peak. From beginning to end, he had not moved a single inch. He gazed calmly at Master Hollow Wind. Then softly he spoke, "Sundered Night." The moment those words fell, heaven and earth trembled. Wang Lin became the sun. The peak became the sea. The sun rose fully above the waters, and an endless force surged forth, one that could tear apart the very night. The sun rises over the sea. Sundered night. The night collapsed. It was torn apart, completely sundered. The giant python let out a silent, agonized struggle before being ripped to pieces. The stone tablet shattered, breaking into countless fragments as it fell apart. Master Hollow Wind coughed violently. Blood poured forth. New wounds spread across his body. There was not a single place untouched by injury. Yet his body did not collapse. A tremendous force pushed him backward. He slammed into the ground, dust billowing into the air. The night vanished. Everything faded. The world returned to normal as though nothing had ever occurred. The three Chen brothers felt their scalps go numb. Fear rose from the depths of their hearts. Even Master cannot use such a spell. This is the spell he comprehended in just 2 months. It's terrifying. If it were used on me, there would be no escape, only death. Master Hollow Wind is a Nirvana cleanser cultivator, yet he was forced into retreat. If Senior Wang had intended to kill, escape would have been impossible. They exchanged glances, seeing the same fear reflected in each other's eyes. Big Head inhaled sharply, staring at Wang Lin's indifferent figure. His emotions were tangled and complex. The gap between us grows wider and wider. That journey to the Alliance, it changed him completely. Lei Ji's eyes burned with passion. The stronger Master becomes, the closer I am to reclaiming Planet Giant Demon. Ta Shan remained unmoved, as cold and silent as ever. Silence blanketed the surroundings. No one dared to speak. Under that oppressive atmosphere, Wang Lin raised his gaze toward the sky. Clarity shone within his eyes. He took a step, appearing before Master Hollow Wind. Grasping him by the hair, he moved forward at once. Before leaving, he gave a slight nod to the three Chen brothers. Then he vanished. After more than 2 months, I finally grasped that moment. It was similar to the time I entered that mysterious space created by ancient demon Bei Lu in the demon spirit land. Yet only similar. Compared to this, that space was insignificant. As Wang Lin pondered, he appeared before his palace and stepped inside. What realm was that? Even though I remained there for only an instant, I was able to comprehend the force that tears through the darkness, Sundered Night. This can be considered the first spell I have created. He placed Master Hollow Wind aside and fell into deep thought. Again and again he replayed the scene in his mind, engraving the essence of Sundered Night into his consciousness. Master Hollow Wind struggled to sit upright. His gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with complexity. His body was now nothing but skin and bone, like a walking skeleton. After a long silence, he spoke in a hoarse voice. Did you create that spell just now?" Master Hollow Wind could not determine whether that spell, the one that had nearly shattered his mind, had truly been created by Wang Lin. What he knew, however, was its terrifying might. In all his long years of cultivation, he had rarely witnessed a technique of such power. The reason he suspected it to be self-created stemmed from his vast experience and his early-stage Nirvana cleanser. Cultivation. As he endured the spell, he sensed an imperfection, not from the caster, but from the spell itself. It was like newly polished jade, smooth at first glance, yet faintly rough upon touch. This subtle flaw led to his hoarse question, spoken only after long contemplation. Wang Lin looked at him calmly, then gave a slight nod. That simple gesture stirred a tempest within Master Hollow Wind's heart. He stared blankly at Wang Lin, unable to speak for a long while. Self-created spells were not something ordinary cultivators could achieve. In his experience, only those ancient monsters at the Nirvana Shatterer stage possessed the qualification to forge techniques unique to themselves, and any such spell was unfathomably powerful. Self-created, Master Hollow Wind muttered bitterly. He had never imagined that Wang Lin could reach such a level. And the power of that spell. The memory of his body being torn apart surfaced again. His face turned pale. The pain lingered especially in his right arm, which had already collapsed completely. He understood clearly, had Wang Lin intended to kill him, he would have perished beneath that spell. While countless thoughts surged through Master Hollow Wind's mind, Wang Lin himself was deep in contemplation. The shock brought by Sundered Night was no less for him. In truth, it was even greater. My cultivation is only at the peak of mid-stage Nirvana Scrya. I am just one step from the late stage, yet still far from its peak. The gap between me and a Nirvana cleanser cultivator is vast. Then why was Sundered Night able to wound Master Hollow Wind so severely and so easily? He pondered this question in silence. As he thought, he raised his right hand. His eyes gleamed. The sensation of Sundered Night resurfaced within his mind. A golden light began to form in his palm, radiant like a blazing sun. Master Hollow Wind's heart trembled. Ignoring his injuries, he struggled to his feet and retreated in haste. He did not notice the faint frown that crossed Wang Lin's face. With a wave of his hand, the golden light dissipated. Master Hollow Wind let out a breath of relief. He cupped his hands respectfully. I will remember fellow cultivator Wang's mercy. I was reckless. The loss of my right arm is a fitting lesson. I, Master Hollow Wind, swear upon my Tao this will not happen again. Though he admitted defeat, resentment lingered in his heart. Before he had intended to rebel within the demon spirit land. But after witnessing Sundered Night and learning it was self-created, he abandoned such thoughts entirely. Now his sole focus was to leave this place and regain his freedom. As for whether the spell was truly Wang Lin's creation, he no longer cared to question it. With his insight, he could already discern the truth. In his mind, there was an 80% chance it was real. Yet truth or falsehood no longer mattered. The terror of that spell had extinguished all thoughts of rebellion. In a way, he felt relief. No longer did he need to wrestle with that decision. And more importantly, Wang Lin had spared him twice. There would not be a third time. Wang Lin looked at him calmly. Both were perceptive individuals. There was no need for further words. A simple nod ended the matter. Fellow cultivator Wang Master Hollow Wind said, his tone steady. Based on my knowledge of the old monsters of planet Tianyun, the demon spirit land should open soon. Perhaps within a few months, at most half a year. I am gravely injured and must enter seclusion. I will not trouble you further. Now that he had truly resolved to assist Wang Lin, he began to consider the future within the demon spirit land. After bidding farewell, he returned to his palace and entered cultivation. Once he left, Wang Lin lowered his gaze to his right hand, his brows furrowed. After a moment of silence, he summoned Sundered Night again. Golden light reappeared. The instant it formed, the origin energy within his body surged uncontrollably toward his hand, like wild horses breaking free. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He waved his hand, dispersing the light. The energy receded. Yet in that brief moment, more than 10% of his origin energy had been consumed. Just as before, each use drains nearly all my origin energy. With my current reserves, I cannot sustain Sundered Night. Yet earlier, I displayed its power without consuming any. He frowned deeply. Could it be? Suddenly he raised his head. His eyes shone with realization. Time passed swiftly. Day turned to night. Wang Lin remained seated, immersed in thought. Only as dawn approached did his eyes brighten. He rose and stepped outside. His figure flickered, vanishing, then reappearing atop the peak, where he had first comprehended Sundered Night. The sea breeze swept across the mountain, carrying a chill. Wang Lin paid it no mind. His gaze was fixed on the horizon, where the sun began to rise. The comprehension within him stirred once more, flowing through his body and gathering in his right hand. Golden light flashed. This time he did not draw upon his own origin energy. Yet the moment he raised his hand, boundless origin energy from the rising sun surged into it. The golden light expanded violently. More and more energy poured in. The light spread from his arm to his entire body. He was engulfed in golden radiance, dazzling and radiant. For a brief moment, it was as though he had replaced the sun itself, becoming the rising sun above the sea. Understanding flickered in his eyes. With a thought, the light faded, gradually vanishing. So that is the truth. My own origin energy is insufficient to support this spell. I must borrow the power of the sunrise. He pondered for a long time, then shook his head. With a step, he vanished. Though limited, if I face an enemy at sunrise, then with my third eye and the god-slaying war chariot, I should be able to contend with an early-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. The instant the sun breaks the horizon is when I am at my strongest. When he returned to the palace, his gaze turned cold. Other than Master Hollow Wind, I wonder who will be the first to meet me at my peak. He sat down cross-legged. His hands formed seals. Restrictions spread outward, filling the entire palace. He then pointed between his brows, activating the heart restriction. Countless black threads surged forth. Layer upon layer of restrictions formed, sealing the palace completely. Even so, Wang Lin remained cautious. He slapped his storage bag. A compass appeared in his hand, the inheritance of the annihilation restriction. He blew a breath of origin energy into it. The needle spun rapidly. The compass rose, expanding until it reached 100 feet across, hovering above him. As Wang Lin leapt upward, the compass descended into the ground. He sat at its center. This should suffice. He waved his hand again. The silver corpse appeared. He gazed at her briefly, then without hesitation pressed a finger toward her forehead. Her eyes snapped open. Cold light flashed within them. A vortex formed between her brows, halting his finger just an inch away. A vicious glint appeared in her eyes as she retreated swiftly. But the moment she moved, the compass beneath her trembled and began to rotate. Restrictions surged forth, intertwining seamlessly with those throughout the palace. To trigger one was to trigger them all. Her gaze grew fiercer. Yet within it, a trace of intelligence flickered. She halted her retreat, then lunged forward. Though gravely injured, her ferocity remained undiminished. She closed in on Wang Lin's claws, striking mercilessly. Wang Lin remained calm. As her claw neared, a streak of blue light shot from his eyes. Her hand collided with it. A sharp, miserable scream rang out. She retreated at once. Yet even in retreat, her movements were light and precise. She avoided every restriction, stopping several dozen feet away. That flicker of intelligence remained in her eyes. She bared her teeth, letting out a low, threatening growl. She was beautiful, eerily so. Her expression, instead of evoking fear, resembled that of a wild cat, accentuated by her two sharp canine teeth. The chains wrapped around her body clinked softly as she moved, their echoes lingering throughout the silent palace. Wang Lin's gaze was calm. His hands formed a seal, then pointed downward. The compass spun, and in an instant, every restriction within the palace awakened, surging toward the female corpse. The woman let out a piercing wail. The sound struck like a violent shockwave, causing large swaths of restrictions to collapse. A trace of anxiety flickered in her eyes. She retreated at once. Blue light flashed from Wang Lin's right eye again, condensing into a shield that blocked her path. The impact from the shield erupted outward, forcing her to withdraw once more. Wang Lin pointed with his right finger. All the surrounding restrictions converged, gathering tightly around the female corpse. She continued to retreat. The chains on her body rattled violently. Then black mist billowed forth and wrapped around her form. She opened her mouth and spat out a pair of crimson scissors. The blades shot into the air and slashed down mercilessly at the restrictions. A dull thud echoed. The scissors severed all the restrictions above her. Cloaked in black mist, she charged upward. Seeing her about to break through the palace, Wang Lin's expression turned cold. With a thought, the ancient god furnace appeared around him. "Change position." His calm voice echoed through the hall. The female corpse suddenly shone with light. Just as she was about to touch the palace ceiling, her body trembled. In that instant, her position switched with Wang Lin, who stood at the center of the compass. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin appeared where she had been. The female corpse now stood upon the center of the compass. The compass spun rapidly. Countless restrictions wrapped around her body, while even more closed in from all directions. She reacted too late. Her cultivation had already dropped significantly due to her injuries. The restrictions bound her tightly. They locked her down in layers, especially her feet, which seemed fused to the compass itself. She could not move at all. Struggling, she let out shrill screams. The sound spread sharp and piercing. Wang Lin descended to the ground. He looked at her coldly. Without hesitation, he reached out. The chain piercing her shoulder blade was torn free. Weakened, the female corpse screamed again. Her body trembled violently. Her intelligent eyes glared at Wang Lin, filled with deep hatred. The moment the chain was pulled out, it transformed into a black serpent. With savage ferocity, it lunged forward and bit down on Wang Lin's right arm. Wang Lin did not evade. He allowed it to bite. The instant its fangs touched his arm, they shattered. His flesh remained completely unharmed. How could such a trivial black serpent pierce the body of a 5-star royal ancient god? Wang Lin clenched his hand. The serpent trembled, then broke apart, reverting into fragments of chain. Without pausing, he reached into the void again. The female corpse shrieked as the chain embedded in her pelvis was forcibly dragged out. With a single squeeze, he crushed it. The female corpse collapsed, half sitting on the ground. Wang Lin spat out a mouthful of origin energy. It entered the compass. He then sat to the side, his hands forming seals continuously. The compass rotated slowly. Restrictions seeped into her body one after another. Celestial Emperor Qinglin possessed a spell known as Corpse Guard. It required the corpses of slain enemies and various rare materials to refine a vicious puppet. Such a corpse feels no pain and serves only to protect its master. Though I lack those extinct materials, I can still use the method to control a corpse guard. Wang Lin closed his eyes. His hands did not stop. Seal after seal entered the female corpse. Time passed in silence. The sun rose and fell. More than half a month slipped by. Wang Lin had already spent nearly 4 months on planet Water Spirit. Aside from the time spent in Comprehension atop the peak, the rest had been devoted entirely to refining this corpse. The refinement process was exceedingly complex. It demanded absolute concentration. Because of this, Wang Lin never left the palace. From time to time, he would lay down additional restrictions. At this moment, the 100-foot compass still rotated within the palace. The woman sat upon it. Her entire body emitted a silver glow. Between her brows, a mark flickered faintly. Her expression was serene. The resentment she once carried had vanished completely. To any outsider, it would be difficult to imagine her true nature. No matter how one looked at her, she appeared to be nothing more than a beautiful female cultivator. While Wang Lin remained on planet Water Spirit, a certain event unfolded on planet Tianyun. It was neither too large nor too small. A powerful cultivator named Situ Nan had arrived. He became the palace lord of the Pink Palace. However, his reputation was far from honorable. Within 3 months, nearly every female disciple of small and medium sects had been harassed by him. He never used force. Instead, he relied on his Nirvana cleanser cultivation as an excuse. He would teach them spells and casually hint that he could gift them pills to increase their cultivation. Thus, he gathered a large number of female cultivators. The Pink Palace grew stronger at an astonishing rate. He lived in constant indulgence. Whenever he went out, he was surrounded by 1,000 women. His depravity became widely known. Yet strangely, he was not without credibility. Every female disciple who entered the Pink Palace did indeed receive instruction and pills. If any sect raised complaints, Situ Nan would personally visit them, speaking with righteous confidence. Most sects chose to give him face. After all, he was a Nirvana cleanser cultivator. As a result, more and more female cultivators joined him. His name spread across planet Tianyun. From unknown sources, Situ Nan learned that the 3 Chen brothers had 2 female disciples of exceptional beauty. One possessed a water spirit root. The other carried a cold, icy temperament. This stirred his interest. After pondering for half a day, he set out. Leading a vast group of female cultivators, he headed toward planet Water Spirit, guided by a certain individual. The group was almost entirely composed of women dressed in pink. At its center was a massive bed dozens of feet wide. Situ Nan reclined upon it, surrounded by beauties, his expression filled with enjoyment. Nearly 100 female cultivators accompanied the bed as they advanced toward their destination. Before Situ Nan stood a middle-aged man in blue robes. He was handsome, yet his gaze carried a sinister edge. He spoke with flattery, "Senior Situ. This junior guarantees that those 2 female cultivators are of the highest quality. Zhao is an unparalleled beauty. As for the one called Ling she possesses a water spirit root. She is an excellent cultivation furnace." Situ Nan basked in the attention of the women around him. He laughed and nodded. "Good. If your words are true, I will not be stingy with rewards. Pills or celestial spells, you may choose." Joy filled the middle-aged man's eyes. He hurriedly expressed his gratitude, layering praise upon praise, until Situ Nan laughed even louder. Inwardly, the man sneered. "Zhao Xue, no matter how proud you are, let me see whether you will still refuse when Senior Situ stands before you. And Ling you will not escape either." Situ Nan glanced at him. Though he appeared carefree, he understood everything. With his cunning, it was obvious that this man held a grudge against those 2 women. But Situ Nan did not care. A water spirit root. Not bad. He smiled faintly. "That brother of mine is like a block of wood. After all these years, he probably hasn't even touched a woman. If these 2 are suitable, I'll take them as a gift for him, even if I have to snatch them." He paused, then sighed softly. During his months on planet Tianyun, he had tried to locate Wang Lin, yet there were no clues. He had considered visiting the Heavenly Fate sect, but the entire sect was sealed by a powerful aura. With his current strength, entering would not be easy. This phenomenon puzzled all cultivators on the planet. None could discern the reason. No one knew that before entering seclusion. The All-Seer had issued a command seal the Heavenly Fate sect and activate its grand formation. Fortunately, many disciples remained outside. Among them were several female cultivators who had been taken to the Pink Palace by Situ Nan for entertainment. From them, he learned of the events that had occurred in the demon spirit land. These matters were no secret. Situ Nan had already heard fragments from others. After confirming them, he was briefly stunned, then burst into laughter. "That's my brother. If he acts, he shakes the heavens." Further inquiries revealed that Wang Lin had returned to planet Tianyun months ago. Situ Nan pondered. If Wang Lin dared to return, then he must not fear anything. His safety should not be an issue. Still, it felt strange. Could his cultivation have advanced so quickly? Situ Nan thought for a long time, yet found no answer. From the information gathered, Wang Lin's purpose for returning was likely the demon spirit land. Thus, he would not remain hidden for long. Situ Nan was in no hurry. He chose instead to indulge himself, easing the pressure he had carried from planet Fangluan. On this day, under the guidance of the middle-aged man, Situ Nan and his entourage finally saw planet Water Spirit in the distance. This old man has truly gone all out traveling this far just to find little Lin a concubine. I wonder what expression he'll make when he finds out." Situ Nan laughed. To the middle-aged man and the surrounding cultivators, that laughter sounded unmistakably lewd. Gazing at the blue cultivation planet, Situ Nan released his divine sense. It spread outward, then surged forward like a raging storm, crashing toward the planet and sweeping across it without restraint. With his Nirvana cleanser cultivation situ, Nan's divine sense was incomparably sharp. Coupled with his arrogant, almost demonic domain, it granted him an overwhelming, nearly inexhaustible force. As his divine sense swept over the planet, the entire world trembled as if seized and toyed with by an invisible giant. Thunderous rumbles rose from the land, and the heavens themselves shifted in color. The three Chen brothers had been cultivating in seclusion. At that instant, they opened their eyes together, their expressions darkening. Without a word, they vanished only to reappear high in the air. Yet the divine sense was far too powerful. The moment they emerged, they were forced back thousands of feet. Only by unleashing their full strength could they barely maintain their footing. Big Head and Lei Ji also sensed this terrifying pressure. Lei Ji's cultivation was insufficient. He coughed up blood immediately. Still, fear did not appear in his eyes. Only a heavy gloom settled within him. Big Head endured the crushing force and rushed toward Wang Lin's palace. There, together with Ta Shan, he guarded it in silence. As for the junior cultivators, their faces turned deathly pale. Those lightly affected coughed blood. Those more severely struck lost consciousness outright. Only Zhao Xue and Ling protected by treasures bestowed by the Chen brothers, managed to barely endure. That domineering divine sense swept across Wang Lin's palace. Yet within Wang Lin was refining the female corpse already at the most critical stage. His divine sense had nearly fused completely with the corpse. Unless one's cultivation far surpassed his, they would perceive only the corpse itself. After all, the corpse had also reached the Nirvana cleanser stage. The invading divine sense paused briefly, then continued on. In the distance, Master Hollow Wind's eyes flickered with light before narrowing slightly. As the divine sense spread further, a dark gleam surfaced in his gaze. He formed a seal and pointed forward. At once the divine sense gathered like a swirling vortex. A low laugh echoed as it withdrew. "This old man is in a good mood today, so I'll grant you a chance. Hand over the woman with the water spirit root and the little girl named Zhao Xue. I do not regard the three of you half-dead Nirvana cleanser cultivators as any threat." The rough voice rolled across planet water spirit like thunder reverberating through every corner of the world. Within that voice was a spell infused with Situ Nan's cultivation. Merely hearing it caused the three Chen brothers to cough blood once more and stagger backward. Master Yi Chen's expression twisted with ferocity. "Activate the planet protection formation," he roared. With that, he struck his storage bag. A black token flew out. At the same time, Master Yi Xing and Master Yi Long each produced a black token of their own. The three raised their tokens in unison. One shattered, instantly dissolving into a black ripple that spread outward at astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the entire planet. Then, as the first token crumbled, the remaining two shattered as well. Two more ripples spread across the heavens. 3 layers of black ripples now surrounded planet water spirit, tightly sealing it. Master Yi Chen's face was pale. He held no confidence that these layers could withstand the enemy. Yet he did not panic. A cold sneer formed in his heart. "With Brother Wang here, I would like to see how you dare bully planet water spirit." "Oh," Situ Nan's eyes flickered with cold light upon seeing the 3-layered defense. When his divine sense swept through the planet earlier, he had already noticed 2 early-stage Nirvana cleanser cultivators. Both were gravely injured. Even if they were not, he would not have cared. He laughed, vanishing from the large bed. In the next instant, he appeared outside planet water spirit. "Resistance is good. The more you resist, the more excited I become." His voice carried a hint of madness. "Damn it. This time I am finding concubine furnaces for my brother, not for myself. Mortality, stand with me." A strange light flickered in his eyes as he advanced toward the planet. Then suddenly he raised his right forefinger and pointed forward. Annihilation. A vortex appeared at his fingertip. Explosions rumbled within it. Endless origin energy gathered, spinning faster and faster. until it seemed motionless, yet its rotation had reached an unimaginable speed. During my last closed-door cultivation, I refined the finger of death, the demonic finger, and the underworld finger. I even improved the latter techniques. Breaking this mere planetary formation will take only a few breaths. His eyes gleamed as he thrust his finger forward without hesitation. The vortex shot toward the planet's protective formation, closing the distance in an instant before slamming into the first layer. A heaven-shaking explosion erupted. The shock wave spread violently in all directions, forcing everyone backward. Situ Nan stood unmoved, yet the female cultivators behind him were driven back. The first layer of black ripples trembled violently, then shattered. A raging storm surged forth, crashing into the second layer. At that moment, Situ Nan pointed again and shouted, "One finger points to heaven and earth." The universe falls silent. Another vortex appeared far larger than before. Origin energy from all directions surged into it frantically, as if drawn into a bottomless abyss. In the blink of an eye, it expanded to 100 feet. Lightning crackled within explosions, echoing endlessly. Situ Nan's eyes glowed with a mysterious light. Annihilation change. As his voice fell, the explosions within the vortex reached their peak. Lightning surged wildly, but these were merely surface phenomena. The true transformation lay within the origin energy itself. Nirvana cleanser cultivators could absorb origin energy and infuse it into their techniques, making their attacks far more powerful than those of Nirvana scryer cultivators. But that was only the most basic usage. Absorption, condensation, nothing more. True mastery came with change. Change was the qualitative transformation of origin energy, compressed again and again, until it evolved into a mysterious force known as the power of law. Wang Lin's self-created spell belonged to this very category. Even among Nirvana cleanser cultivators, the power of law was exceedingly rare, let alone among Nirvana scryer cultivators. That was why Master Hollow Wind had been so shocked. Situ Nan shouted as the massive vortex compressed, shrinking rapidly until it was no larger than his palm. Then it shot forward once more. "Break for this old man." He stepped forward, following the vortex. It moved with terrifying speed, striking the second layer instantly. The layer trembled violently, yet upon contact it twisted, then was absorbed completely into the vortex, offering no resistance. The vortex did not slow. It surged forward and collided with the final layer. At the moment of contact, the last layer collapsed. Just like that, all three layers of the planet's protective formation were destroyed. The vortex charged straight toward Planet Water Spirit. With an arrogant laugh, Situ Nan declared, "This old man has come to find a concubine for my brother. Anyone who dares to stop me will be destroyed." As Situ Nan and the vortex descended above the planet, the three Chen brothers coughed blood once more. Their connection to the formation caused them to suffer backlash, forcing them to retreat. Behind Situ Nan, the female cultivators of the Pink Palace followed swiftly, filling the sky. Their fragrance spread through the air, intoxicating all who sensed it. The middle-aged man in blue also arrived. His eyes gleamed with excitement as he stared at the Chen brothers. "So even you old things have a day like this," he thought. Master Yi Chen's face was grim. He stared at Situ Nan and shouted, "Fellow cultivator possesses extraordinary cultivation. You must not be an unknown figure." Situ Nan laughed, his gaze sharp. "I am Situ Nan. Fellow cultivator Situ Master," Yi Chen said, forcing calm into his voice. "With your cultivation, why trouble the three of us? Linger and Zhaoshu are but juniors. Please release them. The Chen brothers will offer compensation." Situ Nan shook his head lightly. "This old man has no shortage of women or cultivation furnaces. I have no interest in your juniors." His tone turned indifferent. "But my brother is still very young. Let me see, only about 1,000 years old." "Yes, still young." A faint smirk appeared. "Rest assured he is quite handsome. Those two juniors of yours may not even catch his eye. Do not waste my time. Bring them out, or I will kill you all and take them myself. Senior Zhao Jue can go with you, but please spare my junior sister." Two streaks of light descended from afar, revealing two women, Zhao Xue and Ling Er. Ling Er stood calmly at Zhao Xue's side. Situ Nan narrowed his eyes, sweeping his gaze over Zhao Xue. Inwardly, he praised her. As rumored, she was a cold beauty, excellent material for a concubine. His gaze shifted to Ling Er. A strange glint appeared. She truly possesses a water spirit root. Zhao Xu did not even glance at the middle-aged man beside Situ Nan. Her expression remained cold, proud, untouched. Situ Nan had no interest in her words. With a casual wave of his sleeve, a gust of wind surged forth, wrapping around Zhao Xue and Ling Er. This old man is taking them. As he spoke, he stepped backward, already preparing to leave. The eyes of the three Chen brothers were bloodshot. Master Yi Chen, in particular, looked as though his heart had been torn apart. Though Ling Er was a junior of a different generation, he had always treated her as his own daughter. At this moment, it felt as if he were watching a villain snatch his daughter away right before his eyes. He clenched his teeth. Turning toward the palace where Wang Lin resided, he bowed deeply. His voice trembled with grief and indignation as he cried out, "Brother Wang, please, help this old man just this once." But Wang Lin was completely immersed in refining the corpse. This was the most critical moment. Though his divine sense lingered around the palace and detected the disturbance outside, he could not allow himself the slightest distraction. Situ Nan had originally intended to leave, yet the moment he heard the words "Brother Wang," his body trembled slightly and his steps halted. A strange light flickered within his eyes as he muttered, "Someone named Wang." He turned toward Master Yi Chen. "What is the name of this Brother Wang you speak of?" Then he shook his head lightly. "Forget it. I'll know once I see him." With that, he stepped forward and charged directly toward Wang Lin's palace. Had Situ Nan not approached Wang Lin, Master Hollow Wind would not have intervened. Already injured, he had no intention of aiding the Chen brothers. But now that Situ Nan was closing in on Wang Lin, he had no choice but to act. At his level of cultivation, one usually acted freely without restraint. Yet after several encounters with Wang Lin, Master Hollow Wind's feelings had grown complicated. Wang Lin had spared him twice, though it had been in exchange for assistance in the demon spirit land. The fault had still been his both times. Thus he harbored no resentment. If he did not act now, it would be unreasonable. His eyes flashed. Abandoning his healing, he appeared before Situ Nan the moment Situ Nan came within 5 kilometers of the palace. His expression calm. Master Hollow Wind said slowly, "Fellow cultivator, you have already taken the people you wished. It would be best for you to leave." Situ Nan narrowed his eyes. Impatience filled his expression as he coldly replied, "If you weren't injured, you might barely qualify to stand before me. But in your current state, you are not worthy." As he spoke, he raised his right hand and pointed without hesitation. Underworld finger. The instant his finger extended, the heavens shifted color. Dense death aura surged across the world. Refined by Situ Nan, the underworld finger now carried immense power. Within a land steeped in death, it borrowed that faint trace of life, thus forming its own balance of yin and yang. A terrifying spell was born, shooting straight toward Master Hollow Wind. Master Hollow Wind formed seals with both hands. With a wave, vast origin energy gathered and collided with the incoming finger. A thunderous explosion rang out. His body trembled violently as he was forced back dozens of feet. Yet the underworld finger remained unaffected. After a brief pause, it continued its pursuit. Disdain filled Situ Nan's gaze. Underworld change. The death wind rapidly condensed. A destructive aura spread wildly outward. Master Hollow Wind's expression changed drastically. Sensing the abnormality of the wind, he retreated without hesitation. Situ Nan paid him no further attention. He stepped forward toward the palace. Tarshan and Big Head moved to intercept. With a casual wave of his sleeve, Big Head was sent flying. Tarshan, however, remained standing. As a celestial guard, his body endured. He threw out a punch. A sonic boom tore through the air as it surged towards Situ Nan. Surprise flickered across Situ Nan's face. He examined Tarshan carefully before pointing at him. Tarshan's body trembled, then was blasted away. Interesting. A Nirvana cleanser, a Nirvana scryer, and a puppet with such a powerful body. I must see this cultivator named Wang, who is guarded by them. Laughing, Situ Nan stepped within 1,000 feet of the palace. The moment he landed, he froze. His expression turned strange, his mouth slightly open. What he saw with his own eyes differed completely from what his divine sense had perceived. Before he could speak, a sharp whistle erupted from within the palace. Countless restrictions surged outward, filling the sky as they rushed toward him. Damn it! Situ Nan moved to retreat, but the number of restrictions was overwhelming. They converged upon him relentlessly, as if determined to seal him completely. He gave a wry smile and simply stopped retreating. Spreading his arms, a massive vortex formed before him, spinning at terrifying speed. As he swung his arms, the vortex collapsed, releasing rippling waves. Every restriction that touched those ripples shattered instantly. In the blink of an eye, all of them collapsed. Just as Situ Nan was about to speak, his expression changed. A piercing female scream erupted from within the palace, tearing through the heavens. Even he was forced to step back several paces. At that moment, the palace doors burst open. A woman clad in silver shot out like a streak of light, charging straight at him. Situ Nan narrowed his eyes. With a wave of his right hand, he retreated while forming a seal. Pointing forward, he created a glowing ring and shouted, "Celestial entrapment finger." The ring shone with a purple hue, radiating powerful origin energy. It shot toward the female corpse. The moment his finger pointed, the ring vanished, only to reappear an instant later around the woman, trapping her tightly as it began to shrink. One ring became two. Two became four. In the blink of an eye, countless rings surrounded her. Yet the woman was no ordinary opponent. She opened her mouth and spat out a pair of scissors. The blades whirled around her, slicing through the rings. Taking advantage of this moment, Situ Nan spat on the ground and sighed with a bitter smile. Damn it, I didn't even recognize someone I knew. He bypassed the woman entirely and headed straight toward the palace. As he closed in his hands, formed a seal once more. With a laugh, he pointed forward. Take this mountain tremble finger. A towering mountain shadow appeared behind him, so vast it seemed to connect heaven and earth. It rapidly condensed into his fingertip. When the mountain vanished completely, the power of that single finger reached its peak. It descended like a collapsing mountain. From within the palace, a bright, cheerful laugh rang out. A frenzied aura erupted outward. The two forces collided. An unimaginable shockwave exploded outward, engulfing everything. Dust blanketed the area around the palace. Shattered stones scattered in all directions. Situ Nan's body trembled. Shock filled his eyes. He turned into a streak of light and retreated 1,000 feet before the force dissipated. Even so, his right hand trembled, numb from the impact. What kind of spell is this? Just physical strength alone shattered my mountain tremble finger and even forced me back. When did this brat become so strong? Excitement surged within him. Laughing, he leapt into the air and pointed upward. That was only a fraction of my strength. Now I'll show you its full power. I spent years comprehending this technique on that forsaken planet, worse than bird droppings, just to perfect it. Good. Wang Lin's voice echoed from below. He rose into the sky. As their eyes met, a rare glimmer of excitement and familiarity appeared in Wang Lin's gaze. Situ Nan smiled. The admiration and joy of reunion after so many years could not be concealed. They faced each other in mid-air. Sometimes brothers needed no words. A single glance was enough. In that instant, everything from their time on planet Suzaku resurfaced in their hearts. Mountain tremble finger. Situ Nan laughed as he pointed. The entire planet trembled. Mountain souls emerged, rising into the sky. Illusions formed around him. Mountains appeared, hundreds of thousands of them, like mirages yet vividly real. With his gesture, ancient auras gathered from those mountain souls, condensing into a terrifying force that surged toward Wang Lin. This was a divine technique that summoned all the mountain souls of planet water spirit. Faced with this overwhelming force, a mysterious light flickered in Wang Lin's eyes. He clenched his hand. The heavens rumbled, as if the sky itself had been grasped within his palm. Holding his right fist tight, Wang Lin stepped forward and struck out with a single punch. A thunderous explosion resounded between heaven and earth. In that instant, an illusory arm of an ancient god appeared before him, as though that punch carried the will of an ancient god itself. Boom, boom, boom. The deafening echoes drowned out all other sound across planet water spirit. They roared into the ears of every living being. Situ Nan's mountain, Tremblefinger gathering the souls of all mountains on the planet, collided head-on with Wang Lin's fist. A violent shockwave spread outward. The sea below churned into towering waves. Situ Nan laughed as he retreated, admiration shone in his eyes. It has been a long time. Wang Lin, hundreds of years have passed. You truly surprised me today. Wang Lin stepped back as well, laughing. It seems you've spent these years in seclusion. Their gazes met. Both smiled. It had been a very long time since Wang Lin had felt such joy. Seeing Situ Nan again stirred memories of countless life and death moments they had shared. Warmth spread quietly through his heart. Situ Nan had not changed. Still arrogant. Still solitary. Few were close to him, and those few had long drifted away. Only Wang Lin remained different. They had walked through death together time and time again. Now seeing Wang Lin's cultivation reach such a height, Situ Nan felt genuine happiness. At Wang Lin's invitation, the two flew into the distance, leaving the others behind in confusion. The three Chen brothers were especially shaken by the sudden turn of events. Only after a long while did they exchange bitter smiles. As Nirvana Scryer cultivators, their insight was sharp. At this moment, they realized that when Situ Nan spoke of taking Zhou Xue and Ling Er for his brother, there was an 80% chance that brother was Wang Lin. Master Hollow Wind could only sigh bitterly. He shook his head, then looked toward the silver-clad woman who had emerged from Situ Nan's spell. Doubt flickered in his heart. One by one, the crowd dispersed. Meanwhile, Wang Lin and Situ Nan sat atop the mountain peak, where Wang Lin had once comprehended Sundered Night. The mountain wind tugged at their robes as they spoke of the past centuries. Between them stood a white jade table. Upon it rested wine and delicacies brought by Situ Nan. He took a drink and let out a long breath. I never imagined so much would happen after you went to planet Tianyun. You should have followed me instead. Being a king and enjoying life would have been far better. Wang Lin lifted his cup and drank before shaking his head. If not for the unexpected events on the way to Tianyun, I would not have reached my current cultivation. Situ Nan revealed a half smile. He set his cup down and laughed. I heard about the war between All Heaven and the Alliance on planet Fengluan. The Thunder Celestial of All Heaven. Who would have thought it was you? Wang Lin remained calm, smiling faintly. Just luck. Your cultivation is strange, Situ Nan continued. Only at the peak of mid-stage Nirvana Scryer, yet even I felt fear from that punch. Though Situ Nan was only at the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser, his talent was extraordinary. Years of secluded cultivation had brought him to the peak of his level. If pushed, he could even battle mid-stage Nirvana Cleanser cultivators, though at a heavy cost. Their earlier clash had only been a test. Yet within Wang Lin's Situ, Nan sensed a terrifying power hidden deep. Even his arrogance could not suppress his shock. More than 1,000 years had passed. The naive youth from the past had vanished. In his place stood a true cultivator. For a moment, Situ Nan fell into a trance. It was as if he saw that simple boy who had first obtained the heaven-defying bead. Then that boy became the young, disciple of the Hengyue sect, ignorant of the cruelty of the cultivation world. A youth who lost his parents, lost his body, saved by Situ Nan, then walked a path of slaughter, nearly becoming a monster. A youth who rediscovered himself through his domain, who rose step by step on planet Suzaku, who reached the peak and awakened him. Situ Nan sighed softly. He remembered the day they parted. One went to Tianyun to become a disciple. the other to Feng Luan to indulge in life. Hundreds of years passed in the blink of an eye. Now they met again, only their friendship remained unchanged. Everything else had transformed beyond recognition. Such was life. Wang Lin, too, was lost in memory. Those distant scenes resurfaced clearly in his mind. He could not forget the vow he once made beneath the night sky. I, Wang Lin, will never bow to the heavens, nor worship ghosts or gods. I bow only to my parents and to Situ. Situ Nan had given him too much. Without him, Wang Lin would have died in Zhao. He would never have reached this day. Without Situ, he could not have crossed the early stages. Qi condensation foundation, establishment core formation, nascent soul. Without that foundation, his current strength would be impossible. Without the death demonic and underworld fingers, without guidance in spells and treasures, he would never have stood firm on Tian Yun. Without Situ, he would have perished long ago in the demon spirit land, slain by the scattered devil. And the heaven-defying bead. Had Situ Nan been greedy, Wang Lin would have died for it. Instead, Situ had only smiled. I gift you this. The memories lingered. Silence settled upon the mountain peak. The wind howled, yet it could not disperse the emotions between them. Instead, those emotions thickened like smoke, lingering forever within their hearts. They drank cup after cup. After a long silence, both burst into laughter. True friends needed no words. A single cup of wine, a single laugh enough to cast aside all sorrow. A man may live without a lover, but never without a true friend. Situ Nan did not pursue the mystery of Wang Lin's cultivation. He interrupted him with a wave of his hand, raising his cup. What is there to say between brothers? When I was in trouble on planet Feng Luan, you were the first I thought of. One day we will return there and slaughter our way through. Wang Lin smiled and nodded. He did not ask further. They drank deep into the night. The moon hung high, cold, clear, silent. Speaking of life with an old friend brought peace to Wang Lin's heart. It had been a long time since he felt such warmth. It came naturally, effortlessly, in the presence of someone from the past, as if he had returned to planet Suzaku, where their fates first intertwined. You made quite a name for yourself in the all-heaven star system, Situ Nan said, drinking heavily. Meanwhile, I was enjoying life on Feng Luan, until I ran into those damned women. He snorted. It shouldn't have been a big deal. I just looked a few extra times. Maybe engraved their images into a jade slip. That's all. He slammed his cup down. And for that, they issued a kill order, hunting me day and night. I couldn't even live peacefully as a king. I was forced to constantly change locations for secluded cultivation. His voice grew bitter. These past hundreds of years, I've lived like a rat. From one planet to another. Spirit-rich worlds, barren wastelands, I've been to them all. His anger flared. He grabbed the jug and drank deeply. After I came out of seclusion, I went back to Feng Luan and slaughtered my way in. But there were too many of them. And they had help. I suffered a heavy loss. At this point, his face unexpectedly reddened. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes. Without a word, he grabbed Situ Nan's wrist and spread his divine sense into his body. A long time passed. His expression turned strange. Situ Nan smiled bitterly. You saw it. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment. Then killing intent surged in his eyes, cold and overwhelming. He nodded. What poison is this, that even you cannot expel it? Situ Nan set down his cup. I don't know where those women found it. I searched many ancient records. It's called the seventh heaven. He clenched his teeth. 3 days of heaven. 3 days of hell. During those days, I wished for death. This poison originates from the celestial realm. Before its collapse, it was refined over 100 years, using countless celestials. It does nothing to mortals, but it specifically targets celestials. His voice grew grim. Once it enters the body, it fuses completely with the origin soul. It cannot be removed. For the first 3 days, you fall into endless illusion. Your mental energy is drained completely. The next 3 days are torment death in slow motion. On the 7th day, the origin soul is utterly destroyed. He paused. Though death comes after 7 days the moment you are poisoned, Your cultivation is gone. Wang Lin looked at him carefully. Then you. Clearly Situ Nan had not lost his cultivation. Situ Nan gave a bitter smile. When he lifted the wine jug, he found it already empty. Without hesitation, he took out a larger jug from his storage bag, broke its seal, and drank straight from it. Wine spilled from the corner of his mouth and traced a slow line down his chin. He set the jug aside and let out a long sigh. Fortunately, this old man still has some wit. I devised an extreme method to resist the poison. I used a female cultivator as my furnace. Through a dual cultivation technique, I forced open the seventh heaven and kept it locked in the first stage. Only then could I delay the poison until now. Wang Lin raised his head toward the starry sky. The killing intent in his cold eyes surged violently. His hatred toward planet Fengluan, the cause of Situ Nan's suffering, rose like a storm. After a moment, he asked slowly, "Does planet Fengluan have Nirvana Shatterer cultivators?" Situ Nan shook his head. Number. At most mid-stage Nirvana cleanser. Not even late stage or peak late stage. But there are many of them. Including their allies, there are more than 10 Nirvana cleanser cultivators. Wang Lin sneered and nodded. Revenge is inevitable. But first we deal with your poison. Situ Nan's eyes lit up. I have some ideas. Those damned women from Fengluan only carried the poison. They didn't have the antidote. The true cure should be in the celestial realm. When the Rain Celestial Realm opens, I'll go there. Perhaps I can find it. Wang Lin's expression shifted. The celestial realm. Was this poison refined there? Situ Nan nodded. According to the records I found, yes. It came from the Rain Celestial Realm. Wang Lin fell into thought. He still possessed the pagoda taken from Zhou Yi. Inside it lay the corpse of Celestial Lord Qing Shuang, a figure from the Rain Celestial Realm. Back then, Wang Lin said quietly, I discovered clues. Deep within that mysterious cave in the demon spirit land lies the strongest celestial emperor of the past, Qing Lin. He is Qing Shuang's father. If he has a way to revive her, then once she awakens, curing this poison would be simple. A glimmer appeared in his eyes. Perhaps there is no need to enter the Rain Celestial Realm. He then recounted everything that had happened in the demon spirit land, along with his own deductions. As Situ Nan listened, a strange light flickered in his eyes. When Wang Lin finished, he pondered briefly, then smiled. That sounds promising. I'll take the risk. Either way, I was going to the demon spirit land with you. Now we might kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He paused, then added coldly, As for planet Fengluan, they won't escape. Wang Lin's gaze turned icy. He had always lived by a simple rule: he would not provoke others unless provoked. But what had been done to Situ Nan had crossed his bottom line. They drank and spoke atop the mountain until dawn. When Situ Nan finished the last jug of wine, he stared at Wang Lin for a long moment, then revealed a peculiar smile. I say, little Lin, could it be? This block of wood has finally gained some enlightenment. Wang Lin was taken aback. He rubbed his nose, confused. Don't play dumb, Situ Nan said with a half-smile. If you say you didn't come to Planet Water Spirit for those 2 girls, I won't believe you. He leaned back casually. I originally planned to bring those 2 girls back and make them your concubines. Didn't expect you to move faster than me and come here first. Gaining affection through status isn't bad. But I still have to scold you. You're not young anymore, yet you're still playing these chasing games. If it were me, I'd have taken them directly. He snorted. Once the rice is cooked, what can they do? Even unwilling, they would have to become willing for this old man. He chuckled with arrogance. Back when I was Suzaku, I did this often. If I fancied someone, I took them. Who dared to refuse? Wang Lin gave a helpless smile. He knew Situ Nan too well. He did not doubt a word. After a light cough, he shook his head. I have no such thoughts about those 2 juniors. One of them merely shares some karmic connection with me. Not a Dao partner. His expression darkened. He thought of Li Muan lying within the heaven-avoiding coffin. Then of Liu Mei, a name that stirred complexity and pain within him. Liu Mei is probably not dead. he murmured, looking at the sky. It was a realization that came after returning to the Alliance star system, a kind of intuition born from over 1,000 years of cultivation. Situ Nan saw the pain hidden deep within Wang Lin's eyes and sighed. He knew part of the story between Wang Lin and Li Muan. That was why he had tried to find a suitable companion for him to help him escape that sorrow. What he did not know was that before that wound could heal, Liu Mei had torn it open again, leaving a scar that would never fade. Wang Lin's path in love had always been tragic. Li Muan's death had taught him how to cherish. But by the time he understood, she was already gone. A life drifting alone among the stars, none could understand it without living it. Liu Mei brought him further pain. Even after 100 years resolving Wang Pin's resentment, the ache in his heart remained. Wang Lin picked up the final jug of wine and drank deeply. He slammed it down and laughed. Situ, you once told me the cultivation world is cruel. It follows the law of the jungle. A moment of carelessness and one perishes. To live, one must be ruthless, merciless. Only then can one survive. He smiled bitterly. I learned ruthlessness. In more than 1,300 years, I have slaughtered without end. I learned loneliness. But I have lost too much. My parents, my family, my lover, my child, my happiness, everything. He closed his eyes briefly. Sometimes I ask myself, what am I pursuing? Situ Nan remained silent. His arrogance faded. Wang Lin's words shook him. When my parents died, I was filled with grief, but too weak to change anything. I could only turn that anger into a demonic flame, waiting for the day it erupted. When Li Muan died, I could not defy fate. I could only watch her grow old and die. His voice grew lower. You still don't know. Because of what happened between Liu Mei and me, she bore my child. But what returned to me was a soul filled with centuries of resentment, a child who hated his father. All of this is because of cultivation. If I had never cultivated, perhaps I would already be dust. But none of this sorrow would exist. His face was filled with bitterness. There was no one in this world he could say these words to except Situ Nan. Only Situ, who had watched him grow from an ignorant youth to a cultivator who walked the true path and left planet Suzaku. Situ Nan silently lifted a wine jug and handed it over. Wang Lin accepted it and drank deeply again, then laughed. Cultivators cannot even get drunk. His laughter echoed faintly, filled with sorrow. If you want to be drunk, Situ Nan said, then I will let you be drunk. He reached into his bag and took out a small purple jade bottle, placing it on the table. This wine was brewed in the celestial realm. There's not much left. I found it by chance. It won't raise your cultivation, but one drop is enough to make you drunk like a mortal. He pushed it forward. Wang Lin, with me here, you may be drunk once. Wang Lin grabbed the bottle and drank without hesitation. The wine burned his throat. Heat gathered in his abdomen and spread through his body. Cultivation, he murmured. Do you know, once I returned an old friend's ashes to his hometown. Do you know what I heard? He drank again. Bitterness filled his eyes. The apricot tree blooms white flowers. The daughter will not be taken by Taoists. Last year, second brother climbed the mountain. 1 year later, first brother returned as bones. Her cries follow the dead. The coffin becomes her kin. His voice softened. The apricot tree blooms white flowers. Children should not be taken by Taoists. If asked of my age, I have yet to find my Tao. The dog barks. The cat claws, driving the Taoist away. The nursery rhyme drifted into the air, carrying sorrow, helplessness, and enlightenment from over 1,000 years. Situ Nan's hand trembled. Over 1,000 years of cultivation. Wang Lin continued. How many life and death struggles have I endured to reach this point? Was it worth it? He shook his head slowly. I dare not ask. I dare not think of what happiness I might have had. Because I have already stepped onto this path, it is too difficult to turn back. Too many forces push me forward. If I hesitate, I cannot continue. He looked at Situ Nan. I had a child you will never meet. His name was Wang Ping. I named him so he could live peacefully as a mortal, never cultivate. His voice trembled faintly. During his life, he asked me 3 times why he could not cultivate. Why? Was it because he couldn't, or because I did not want him to become like me? He raised the cup and drained it. A faint dizziness rose. The only time he had felt this before was as a child secretly drinking his father's wine. What I pursue, no one can understand. Only I know. His body swayed slightly. He was drunk. Time flowed on without pause. In the blink of an eye, Situ Nan had remained on the water spirit planet for 2 full months. On this day, as the grand formation above the heavenly fate sect slowly opened, the All-Seer personally issued invitations. Every old monster qualified to enter the demon spirit land received one. In 10 days, the demon spirit land will open. We will enter the celestial cave. There was only a single line on the invitation. Yet that single line stirred a storm in the hearts of all who read it. The existence of a celestial cave within the demon spirit land was no secret among these ancient figures. Nearly all of them knew fragments of the truth. Some even speculated that a living celestial still remained inside. Most believed that celestial to be none other than celestial Emperor Wang Lin. Though this remained only conjecture, with no solid proof, it was more than enough. It was enough to make their hearts pound enough to set their blood aflame. Within the celestial cave lay countless celestial treasures, along with celestial spells beyond mortal comprehension. Yet these were not what drew the greatest attention. What truly ignited their desire was the celestial who might still exist within. If the one inside was truly Wang Lin, the strongest celestial emperor across the 4 celestial realms, then perhaps, from his very body, one could glimpse the secret of stepping into the 3rd step. This was the true temptation. This was what drew figures like the All-Seer. Over countless years of investigation, some among these old monsters had already gathered considerable clues. All signs pointed toward a single conclusion. When the celestial realm collapsed, Wang Lin had not perished. His cultivation had been too profound. Yet even so, he had suffered grievous wounds. Forced into seclusion, he needed a place to recover. Every trace led to the same place, the celestial cave within the demon spirit land. To enter the resting place of the once greatest celestial emperor, and to do so while he had yet to recover, such a thought alone was enough to stir madness in the hearts of even the most composed cultivators. Moreover, after entering the demon spirit land time, and again they had all but confirmed one thing: the being within the cave had not yet fully recovered. After the invitations were sent, Ling Tianhu emerged from the depths of the planet. He too harbored ambitions toward the demon spirit land. Invitations of his own were sent forth as he awaited the arrival of his allies. In a short time, the region surrounding planet Tianyun grew crowded. Cultivators gathered in increasing numbers. Most came from distant cultivation planets. Only a handful had been invited. Many arrived unbidden. There was no way to keep such a matter hidden. Yet at this time, the conflict between All Heaven and the Alliance had grown increasingly intense. Minor clashes occurred without cease, sometimes escalating into larger battles. Because of this, only a limited number of powerful cultivators had come. Furthermore, the All-Seer's status as an elder of the Alliance deterred many. Few dared to step into these troubled waters. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. By the appointed time, cultivators had already gathered at the entrance. As more arrived, the crowd continued to swell. Even cultivators from within the sphere of planet Tianyun came forth. All sought to seize this rare opportunity, hoping to gain fortune from this land that opened only at irregular intervals. On the 10th day, the All-Seer arrived. He came alone, stepping through the void. Clad in white, his expression was calm and composed. His grey hair flowed behind him, lending him the air of a true celestial. Beneath his feet was a trident black as ink. Each step he took landed upon it as though it bore him forward. Those familiar with the All-Seer knew well he rarely relied on treasures. His celestial spells alone were enough to shake heaven and earth. Thus, when all eyes fell upon the trident beneath him, shock arose in their hearts. Yet no one spoke. Silently they parted, allowing him passage to the skies above the East Demon Spirit Sea. Below him lay the East Demon Spirit Sea. Here there was no vortex pulling inward. This was the true gateway to the Demon Spirit Land. With the All-Seer's arrival, silence spread across the surroundings. His expression remained indifferent, unreadable. He gazed at the sea below as though lost in thought. Soon after, fluctuations of origin energy rippled through the distance. Old monsters arrived one after another. Among them was the old man seated upon a gourd, the same who had appeared when Wang Lin returned. Behind him followed 9 members of his sect. He floated above the East Demon Spirit Sea and offered a greeting. The All-Seer smiled faintly and nodded. No further words were exchanged. About 15 minutes later, crimson clouds appeared in the distance. Formed by a spell, their presence in the void was not unusual. Upon those clouds stood a beautiful middle-aged woman. 4 young women followed behind her, each equally striking. She was the same woman who had once invited Wang Lin. The 4 young women were the same as before. Among them, the one dressed in pink scanned her surroundings as though searching for someone. She was the one Ling Tianhu suspected to be the brilliant Void Saintess. Soon more old monsters arrived. Though they bore the title, most were merely at the Nirvana Scryer stage. After arriving, they dispersed, seeking out acquaintances and forming quiet groups. Many were not natives of planet Tianyun. Some stood alone, others in small clusters. Yet all from time to time cast their gaze toward the immense vortex above the East Demon Spirit Sea. Not long after, sharp whistling sounds pierced the air. Golden rays streaked across the sky, converging above the sea. As the golden light gathered, it enveloped the surroundings. Then, in a blinding flash, it condensed. From within that brilliance, a figure slowly stepped forth. His long hair flowed without wind. His body was tall and imposing, like that of a war celestial. He appeared to be around 40. His face was resolute, his eyes like lightning. One glance was enough to shake the heart. Standing there unmoving, he exuded an overwhelming aura of majesty. Many powerful cultivators were present. Yet when they met his gaze, they instinctively lowered their heads. He wore a purple robe. Upon his shoulder lay a 3-eyed sable. Its gaze was sharp as lightning, sweeping the surroundings with cold indifference. The moment this man appeared, the All-Seer lifted his head. A faint frown formed between his brows. The old man on the gourd darkened in expression. The man in purple smiled. Fellow cultivator All-Seer, it has been many years since we last met. Today, having received the invitation, I have come to catch up with you. Elder son is too courteous, the All-Seer replied calmly. The star-marked sable upon his shoulder moved with intelligence, occasionally raising its claws to scratch its face. Soon after his arrival, sword energy surged. In the distance, a dazzling arc of swordlight tore across the sky. Then from the horizon, a red Qilin emerged. Seated upon its back was a thin old man. Before he even arrived, his laughter echoed. Brother Sun moved swiftly. Along the way, I wondered whether you had already come. The man in purple smiled. Since the Sword Saint extended the invitation, how could I not come? Not only I, but that person has also accepted your invitation. Sword Saint Ling Tianhu's eyes lit up. A trace of ecstasy flickered within. At that very moment, a profound change erupted within the Demon Spirit Land. The land was divided into 9 countries. Between the Fire Demon Country and the Sky Demon Country, a new force had risen, a tribe calling themselves the Soul Refining Tribe. They were aggressive. Through constant devouring, they had grown rapidly, becoming a dominant power between the 2 nations. Numbering in the millions, their sheer scale was enough to instill fear even in the armies of the 2 countries. Yet strangely, the ancient demons had not moved against them. This puzzled all who observed. What truly caused dread, however, was something else entirely. Nearly every member of this tribe could wield powerful spells. In battle, they would raise massive flags. From within those flags, countless soul fragments would surge forth. When fused together, they formed soul beasts, creatures that devoured all in their path. Among them, several leaders stood out. One known as 13 gathered soul fragments with relentless obsession. His cultivation advanced wildly, granting him the strength to contend with demon generals. Then there was the tribe leader Hua. He possessed 99 great flags. When unfurled, they summoned hundreds of millions of soul fragments. A terrifying existence. Though the inhabitants of the demon spirit land differed from cultivators, making their cultivation speed incomparable, the rise of the soul-refining tribe was far too rapid. There was only one explanation. Over the years, they had absorbed an immense quantity of soul fragments. This was indeed the truth. The soul-refining tribe had spread its branches across all 9 demon countries. For hundreds of years, they scoured every ancient battlefield, every clash between nations, every war among tribes. Today, nearly all members of the soul-refining tribe had left their homes. Millions marched forth. Each held a massive flag. Like a dark tide, they surged toward the fire demon country. From afar, the sight was vast and overwhelming. Within the fire demon country, there was no ancient demon. Over the past centuries, it had fractured and declined. Once it had been occupied by the sky demon country, but the cost had been too great. Their losses were severe. Recovery proved impossible in the short term. In the end, they abandoned it, and thus an opportunity was born. Seizing it, the soul-refining tribe waged war for hundreds of years. Now Hua 13 and the tribe's leaders advanced to claim the fire demon country. Within the vast army, more than 10 individuals carried a black statue. Every member of the tribe gazed upon it with reverence. For hundreds of years, none had forgotten, not even the newest members. Legends, countless legends, surrounded the figure the statue represented. This statue was the soul of the soul-refining tribe, their king, their ancestor. Through years of worship by millions, a strange power had formed within it. Its surface had become smooth, almost alive. The ancestor has left. A voice echoed among the masses. But we believe he will return. He will not forget us. Vast numbers of cultivators had gathered outside the East Demon Spirit Sea, waiting in silence for its opening. When Ling Tianhu heard the purple-robed man speak, a flash of ecstasy flickered in his eyes. Yet he asked nothing further. He simply stepped forward, took his place, and gazed down at the vortex below. As no more arrivals came, Ling Tianhu frowned. He withdrew his gaze and looked into the distance. He was not alone. The old man seated upon the gourd also frowned, his eyes fixed on the void, as though awaiting something unseen. Only the all-seer remained calm, unmoving, quietly waiting. Time drifted by. The gathered cultivators began to murmur among themselves. A few who were well-informed understood the situation, but most were left in confusion, uncertain what these towering figures were waiting for. The voices grew louder. Then suddenly the all-seer raised his head and looked into the distance. A trace of intrigue appeared in his eyes. "He's here." Several breaths later, the purple-robed man also turned his gaze outward. He had already heard everything about Wang Lin from Ling Tianhu. Within his heart, there was a hint of admiration. Someone who can contend with the all-seer for so long cannot be weak. After him, Ling Tianhu, the gourd-bearing old man, the beautiful middle-aged woman, and the black-clad man, whom none dared approach, all turned their eyes to the distance at nearly the same moment. Behind them, the remaining old monsters and scattered cultivators followed suit. A strange whistling sound echoed from afar. It grew louder, sharper, until it seized everyone's attention. Then a moment later, the crowd gasped as one. A colossal giant over 1,000 feet tall was charging toward them. A giant demon clan mount. Someone cried out immediately, "This is no ordinary member. Look at the mark between his brows, royal bloodline." Many among the crowd were well versed. They instantly recognized Lei Ji's identity. To possess such a mount, the rider must be a powerful cultivator. But who could it be? This giant demon clan member has already awakened his bloodline ability. The mount alone is terrifying. Whoever rides it cannot be simple. Not necessarily. Perhaps there is merely some connection with the giant demon clan. The arrival of the giant stirred a storm among the cultivators. Voices rose, overlapping, restless. As the mount drew closer, figures upon its back became visible. One glance and the crowd inhaled sharply. 4 people stood upon its shoulders. All 4 were renowned throughout planet Tian Yun. The 3 Chen brothers, they are all at the Nirvana Scryer stage. Together they are a force even late-stage Nirvana Scryers would struggle against. Why are they here? Does this mount belong to them? And that big-headed cultivator beside them? Unfamiliar, yet also at the Nirvana Scryer stage. 4 Nirvana Scryers. Any one of them could shake this gathering. There must be a hidden reason for their unity. As more cultivators recognized them, the murmuring ceased. Shock replaced sound. Even Ling Tianhu and the others were startled, their eyes gleaming. As Lei Ji approached further, another figure appeared behind the Chen brothers, and Big Head, a red-robed elder. His body was immense, like a mountain of flesh, unsettling to behold. His early-stage Nirvana cleanser aura spread outward, pressing upon all those of weaker cultivation. Master Hollow Wind. His name spread instantly through the crowd. Master Hollow Wind has become Wang Lin's ally. The gourd-bearing old man's eyes flickered faintly. The Chen brothers and the others did not concern him, but Master Hollow Wind was different. Beside the elder stood a beautiful woman. Her eyes were sharp with intelligence, her aura fierce like twin blades, capable of severing any divine sense that dared approach. Another Nirvana cleanser. The crowd erupted again. Yet behind her, not far away, stood Situ Nan. His posture was unruly, his sneer disdainful, as though the world itself was beneath him. A third Nirvana cleanser. I know him, recently famed across Tian Yun. The Pink Palace's Lord Situ Nan. The beautiful woman frowned, her expression tinged with disgust. Though she did not reside on Tian Yun, his reputation had reached her ears. She could not comprehend why a cultivator of such power would act so shamelessly. The All-Seer remained calm, his gaze fixed upon the figures atop the giant. No emotion could be discerned. 3 Nirvana cleanser cultivators. Their presence overshadowed everything. Even the 4 Nirvana Scryers paled in comparison. 4 Nirvana Scryers. 3 Nirvana cleanser old monsters. Who could summon such a force? Lei Ji slowed. Then Wang Lin appeared. He wore a robe of pure white. His hair flowed freely in the wind. His gaze was cold, indifferent. Within his eyes, it was as though the sun and moon revolved. He stood calmly, yet commanded all attention. Every gaze converged upon him. At that moment, the star-marked sable upon the purple-robed man's shoulder suddenly lifted its head. A strange light flickered within its intelligent eyes. Its body trembled. Just as it was about to move, Wang Lin glanced over. A faint smile touched his lips. He clasped his hands in greeting. The purple-robed man returned the smile with a nod, though his attention lingered on the sable. He had raised it since its infancy. Its reaction just now did not escape him. Yet in the next instant the sable calmed, returning to normal. No trace of abnormality remained. The purple-robed man frowned, slightly puzzled. Under the weight of countless gazes, Wang Lin's expression did not change. As Lei Ji came to a halt, he clasped his hands toward the All-Seer and the others. Greetings, All-Seer, Sword Saint, and fellow seniors. I was delayed after obtaining the invitation. I arrived late. Ling Tianho stared at him. A trace of fear lingered in his eyes. He could never forget that beam of light. Had he not fled swiftly? Had he not deduced that the other beam had exhausted its origin energy, he would not be standing here now. His attitude had changed. He no longer wished to provoke Wang Lin. With a smile, he shook his head. Fellow cultivator Wang is too courteous. There is no need for senior. Simply call me Ling Tianhu. The crowd erupted. Disbelief spread across every face. Ling Tianhu, whose reputation stood just beneath the All-Seer, rarely addressed anyone as fellow cultivator. Yet now he had done so. The weight of those words shook the minds of all present. The All-Seer looked at Wang Lin. From beginning to end, his expression remained unchanged, as though nothing had occurred months prior. He nodded slightly. No harm. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes. He greeted the gourd-bearing old man and the beautiful woman, then turned toward the distant black-clad figure. With a faint smile, he clasped his hands. The man in black returned the gesture, though his face remained cold. "All have arrived," the All-Seer said calmly. "Let us open the East Demon Spirit Sea." He waved his sleeve. 7-colored light gathered, condensing into a token no larger than his palm. Yet it radiated a dazzling brilliance. As the light blurred all sight, the token flew into the vortex. This was no ordinary opening. The great tide that usually drew treasures from across the world did not appear. Instead, as the token sank into the vortex, a reverse vortex formed. It expanded rapidly. A black hole tore open. From within, the familiar aura of the demon spirit land surged outward. By opening the 4 celestial caves, can the 5th be revealed? This old man will go first. I shall await your good news. Bathed in 7-colored light, the All-Seer stepped forward, standing upon his trident as he entered the black hole. Wang Lin's gaze lingered on that trident. He had noticed it long ago. The aura it emitted was unmistakable. This was a treasure refined by Tu-Si. This was a treasure Tu-Si had been deeply satisfied with. Unfortunately, no treasure spirit had ever formed within it. To perfect it, Tu-Si had hidden it inside a planet and transformed it into 3 mountains. He intended to use the planet's mountain spirit to give birth to a treasure spirit for this trident. He had planned to retrieve it after mastering the royal bloodline spell. Yet after he left, he never returned. When he saw the trident follow the All-Seer into the black hole, a trace of melancholy rose within him. That melancholy came from the regret buried in Tu-Si's memories. Ling Tianhu and the man in purple became beams of light and rushed toward the black hole. But both suddenly halted. Just as Wang Lin was about to step into the black hole, he abruptly turned and looked into the starry sky. The old man on the black gourd and Situ Nan had already looked in that direction. A ripple spread through space. From within it, an old man stepped out. With a single step, he arrived before everyone. Ling Tianhu and the man in purple immediately stopped. The man in purple revealed deep respect and bowed. "Sun Shan greets Grand Elder." Though Sun Shan was an elder, he did not belong to the Alliance's elder group. Yet the respect he showed now came from the depths of his heart. Clearly he held this old man in the highest regard. "Junior greets Grand Elder." Ling Tianhu also bowed respectfully. With his temperament, there were very few people he truly respected. Wang Lin's pupils contracted. This old man had merged with the world itself to arrive here. The aura he emitted was enough to shake Wang Lin's soul. This aura was entirely different from the All-Seer's. If the All-Seer was like a boundless, unfathomable ocean, then this old man was like a towering mountain piercing the heavens. His presence spread outward, forcing weaker cultivators to cough up blood and retreat in fear. Situ Nan's eyes lit up. He muttered, "Nirvana Shatterer." He pondered briefly, then let out a cold sneer. His gaze shone with arrogance, as if he looked down upon all things. "If I want to roam this world freely, I need a cultivation that can suppress everything. Nirvana Shatterer. This old man has been far too lazy." The old man wore a golden robe. His hair was half black and half white, and an ancient aura surrounded him. He looked at Ling Tianhu, his eyes carrying a trace of admiration. "How long has it been since we last met?" Ling Tianhu seemed to fall into memory. He respectfully replied, "Junior cannot recall." "It has been far too long." The golden-robed old man sighed softly. "Back then, when you and the All-Seer first qualified, I personally brought you both into the brilliant Void Holy Land. Now tens of thousands of years have passed. One of you has become an elder of the Alliance, someone even I must be wary of. The other has also reached such a level in cultivation." Ling Tianhu remained silent, yet the reminiscence in his eyes deepened. "A few months ago, when I received your jade message, I hesitated. I did not wish to come. The war with all heaven is growing increasingly severe, and my senior brother Zhong Xuanzi cannot form an avatar. But after considering the matter between you and the All-Seer, I chose to come and settle it." His voice was calm, but within it lay firmness and depth. Ling Tianhu's heart trembled. He clasped his hands and said, "Thank you, Senior Master Void." "Let us go," the old man said. I have heard of this demon spirit land, but have never seen it myself. Today we shall take a look." He waved his sleeve, then glanced toward the distant, beautiful middle-aged woman. When his gaze fell upon the woman in pink, it carried a trace of goodwill. Then he stepped into the black hole. Ling Tianhou and the man in purple followed closely behind. Wang Lin pondered briefly. His eyes flashed and he moved forward with Situ Nan. Behind them came Master Hollow Wind and the woman in silver, followed by the three Chen brothers and Big Head. All of them flew toward the vortex. Leiji's body shrank until he became a large, sturdy figure. Then he too entered the vortex. The old man on the gourd and the cold man in black also stepped into the black hole. The beautiful middle-aged woman hesitated, glancing at the woman in pink beside her. The woman in pink smiled like a blooming rose. Her voice was soft. "Aunt Xia, you can rest assured on this journey to the demon spirit land. Shen carries a treasure gifted by senior sister. It is more than enough for self-protection. Besides, didn't second sister also invite Elder Master Void to come?" The beautiful middle-aged woman thought for a moment, then nodded. She led the four women beside her into the black hole. Qianqin's expression was complicated. Ever since Wang Lin appeared, her gaze had never left him. Now knowing they would enter the demon spirit land together, a thought surfaced in her mind. "I wonder, does he still remember me?" After these people entered, the surrounding cultivators surged forward toward the black hole. But there were simply too many. Only a portion managed to enter before the black hole abruptly ceased its reverse rotation and vanished. Some cultivators had only half their bodies inside when the vortex disappeared. Their bodies collapsed instantly, and miserable screams echoed through the air. The cultivators behind them were so frightened that they immediately retreated. The black hole vanished, leaving behind only a faint trace of blood. It was as if a great door had closed forever, sealing the path. The remaining cultivators dispersed with regret. Some lingered for days before finally leaving. The East Demon Spirit Sea gradually returned to its former calm. Within the Demon Spirit Land, a blazing sun hung high in the sky. Waves of heat swept across the land with the wind. Corpses lay scattered everywhere, emitting the stench of decay. Vultures circled above, drawn by the aura of death. This was merely one corner of the fire demon country. Across the entire land, corpses covered the ground. Under the relentless heat, they rotted even faster. The wind stripped away their clothing, revealing blackened flesh beneath. A great war raged throughout the fire demon country. The soul-refining tribe had launched its assault. All powerful figures across the land had fallen. Those who refused to submit were killed without exception. The capital of the fire demon country, once home to one of the 9 ancient demons, was now the final stronghold. It was held by one of the nation's elite armies, the Fire Demon Spirit Army. 2 commanders and 8 demon generals guarded the city. Though they had suffered heavy losses, they remained the strongest force left. Because of this, they alone could hold the capital and preserve the last remnants of the fire demon country. At this moment, the soul-refining tribe had completely surrounded the capital. Countless figures floated in the sky, with massive banners billowing around them. A dense black fog blanketed the heavens. Shrill cries from countless soul fragments echoed endlessly. The wailing of the dead became the only sound left in the world. Outside the city gates stood a stone statue within the soul-refining tribe's army. Several tribe members carried it with pride. Among millions, to be chosen to bear the ancestor's statue was an honor that came but once in a lifetime. Above them stood an old man exuding majesty. He wore a black robe surrounded by dozens of massive flags, forming a swirling black storm. Demon generals, charming wood and golden scorpion. "Will you surrender?" His voice was cold like a cutting wind. The moment it sounded, a piercing whistle rose from the storm of black flags. On their own, his words were not overwhelming. But when millions of soul-refining tribe members roared together, "Will you surrender?" the sound shook the heavens. It was as if the world itself trembled. Even thunder could not compare. Inside the capital, the remaining soldiers trembled. Some felt their minds explode. Blood flowed from their orifices as they collapsed unconscious. Xianxia, do not push us too far." A furious roar came from the city wall. A massive armored figure appeared. His armor resembled a scorpion, his eyes bloodshot with hatred. He charged out not toward Xianxia, but toward the black stone statue. "Even if I die, I will destroy this thing." He was incredibly fast. In an instant, he reached the statue. Raising his hand, he struck down with a roar. Yet the surrounding tribe members only sneered. Even Xianxia showed no intention of stopping him. At the moment his hand descended, an icy voice echoed in his ears. "You dare harm my lord's statue. Die." A plain-looking man stepped forward. He wore a black robe, his expression cold and emotionless. Anyone who knew Wang Lin would be startled. His temperament resembled Wang Lin's by 60 to 70%. The man stepped forward casually and threw a punch. At that instant, countless soul fragments surged from his body and gathered into his fist, forming a violent storm. The storm smashed into the armored man. Blood burst from the man's mouth. His armor shattered piece by piece. The sound of bones breaking echoed from within his body. The soul refining tribe's strongest. 13. The man smiled bitterly as his body collapsed. Already exhausted, now gravely wounded, he died instantly. Xianxia laughed loudly. He pointed toward the capital and said coldly, "Soul extinguish." At his command, millions of tribe members raised their soul flags. Boundless souls poured forth, forming a black fog that engulfed the entire capital. Slowly it closed in. Surrender. A woman in blue armor on the city wall let out a soft sigh. From that moment on, the Fire Demon country became the capital of the soul-refining tribe. The tribe rose to become one of the 9 great powers of the demon spirit land. The black statue would replace the ancient demon statue, becoming the spiritual foundation of the tribe. Just as 13 lifted his foot to step toward the city, his body suddenly trembled violently. His cold expression shattered, replaced by an excitement he had not felt in hundreds of years. He raised his head sharply. "The ancestor has returned." At that instant, the sky above the demon spirit land underwent a terrifying transformation. Layer upon layer of vortexes emerged as though they sought to rend the heavens themselves apart. This sudden upheaval threw all living beings into alarm. Countless gazes lifted toward the sky. The vortexes spread, expanding, until they nearly covered the entire firmament above the demon spirit land. They spun violently like a celestial storm descending from above. Within the wood demon country, there lay a deep and remote ravine. Its depths were thick with moss, damp and heavy with moisture. In the early hours, it was often veiled by dense fog. At this moment, faint mist still lingered, yet it slowly thinned beneath the rising sun. As the fog receded, a pool at the bottom of the ravine came into view. Its surface was perfectly still, like a mirror without the slightest ripple. But when the vortexes appeared in the sky, ripples stirred across the pool. From the center of those ripples, something began to emerge. At first, its form was unclear. Yet as it rose further, its shape became distinct. It was a face, a demonic face. Its beauty surpassed that of mortals, unnatural and unsettling. In particular, the dark light within its eyes carried a chilling depth. It gazed silently at the sky, and a faint, sinister smile formed upon its lips. "You have finally come. I have waited far too long for this day." Far across the demon spirit land on the opposite side stretched a vast grassy plain. Wildflowers dotted the land, and even from a distance, one could catch the faint fragrance of grass carried on the wind. The scent was subtle, almost imperceptible. Yet it held a peculiar effect. Anyone from the demon spirit land who inhaled it would feel their mind relax. Over time, many tribes had settled upon this plain. The soul-refining tribe had once expanded here as well. Yet something strange occurred. Their soul flags would immediately weaken in this place. The soul fragments within them seemed unwilling to emerge, and if forced out, they would dissipate rapidly, one after another. Because of this, the soul-refining tribe eventually abandoned the area. To the untrained eye, the grassland appeared entirely ordinary. But if a master of restrictions were to see it, cold sweat would instantly cover their brow. This land was filled with immense and countless restrictions. Their number was unknowable. If activated, they possessed the power to destroy the world itself. No one knew that beneath this grassland lay an ancient transfer array, its origins traced back to a time before the collapse of the celestial realm. A celestial realm formation. Through this formation, combined with a specific method and a token, one could enter one of the 5 celestial caves. 4 of the 5 caves within the demon spirit land had already been discovered. The 5th remained hidden, its location unknown. Only by unlocking the inner domains of the other 4 could the 5th be revealed. The celestial cave connected to this formation was filled with dense celestial spiritual energy. Nothing within it was ordinary. Yet despite its resemblance to the celestial realm, it felt empty. A faint chill lingered in the air. Anyone who stood within it would feel an inescapable sense of coldness and solitude. The cave twisted and turned, lined with pavilions. Within a towering pagoda sat a young man. His appearance was handsome, refined, carrying the aura of an immortal. In his hands he held a bamboo scroll. Beside him rested a teacup. Steam rose gently from it, forming fleeting shapes like blooming flowers, before dispersing into nothingness. From time to time the man sipped his tea. His expression remained calm, undisturbed. Yet the moment the vortexes appeared, he set the scroll aside and gazed into the distance. His eyes seemed to pierce through space itself, observing the changes beyond. They have come. The voice did not belong to him. It came from a woman who stepped in from outside. She was exceedingly beautiful, though somewhat slender. Her oval face and charming eyes carried a soft allure. She wore a light blue dress paired with white pants embroidered in blue. From afar her figure appeared delicate, her legs slender. Though she seemed fragile, it only enhanced her grace. The man smiled gently, his gaze filled with tenderness as he looked at her. "We have waited for so long. I only hope this time we succeed." The woman sat beside him, her eyes soft as she returned his gaze. A faint smile touched her lips. "We have planned for so long. As long as we remain careful, nothing should go wrong." They smiled at one another. Warmth filled their hearts, quiet yet enduring. Even this cold, empty cave seemed to soften as though touched by an unseen warmth. This cultivation couple, who had remained within the cave since their arrival, were none other than Wang Wei and Hu Juan. "How is he?" Wang Wei asked as he lifted the bamboo scroll once more. His appearance was youthful, unchanged by time. Yet deep within his eyes lay a trace of pride, evidence of a glorious past stretching back countless years. Hu Juan chuckled softly. "This sword spirit is resolute. He has already reached the 8th layer of the immortal spirit method you taught him. He is on the verge of breaking into the 9th. If nothing unexpected happens, he should soon achieve a breakthrough." Wang Wei nodded, admiration flickering in his eyes. "Is that so? Then my efforts were not wasted." As he spoke, a trace of gloom crossed his expression. He shook his head lightly. "Still, I cannot understand. Could Qing Shuang truly still be alive? Otherwise, how could she have reforged the Rain Celestial Sword and turned him into its spirit? It is a pity he refuses to speak, and I will not harm Qing Shuang's feelings. Searching his memories would be inappropriate." Hu Juan spoke gently. "Perhaps little sister Qing Shuang truly still lives." At the moment the vortexes appeared, it was not only the ravine and the celestial cave that reacted. Beneath the palace of the Wind Demon country, a drastic change unfolded. This place was the sacred ground of the Wind Demon country. Beneath the earth stretched an immense network of caves resembling a vast honeycomb centered beneath the capital. Each cave connected through countless tunnels, all converging toward a massive cavern beneath the imperial palace. These caves were filled with skeletons, dark blackish purple, exuding a dense aura of death. Whenever death energy emerged, it was drawn away through the tunnels. All the death aura across the countless caves ultimately gathered within the central cavern beneath the palace. This cavern was enormous, spanning at least 10,000 feet. At its center stood a towering pillar. Upon that pillar sat a woman. Her appearance was horrifying. Her face was covered in grotesque scars, too many to count at a glance. Though the wounds had long since healed, whenever she cultivated, blood would surge into them, turning them a deep, vivid red. It was as though countless centipedes crawled across her skin. Not only her face, but her arms as well, were covered in such hideous scars. Beneath the pillar churned a sea of death aura. Streams of it rose and coiled around her, seeping into her wounds. Each time this happened, her body trembled violently, as though enduring unbearable agony. Yet she clenched her teeth and endured. Wang Lin, because of you, I Yao Shixue have suffered all this pain. I wish I could devour your flesh to avenge my father. As long as I can kill you, what is this suffering worth? Even if I must abandon my appearance, so what? Her eyes burned with monstrous hatred. She could never forget that moment awakening within the demon spirit land, sensing her father's crisis, yet powerless to help. Then came the piercing pain in her heart. Through their blood connection, she knew he had likely perished. From that moment on, her hatred for Wang Lin reached its peak. For revenge, she abandoned everything. She knew that to raise her cultivation, she required the aid of the ancient demon here. She endured countless hardships, humiliation, suffering, nightmares made real. In the end, she gained the recognition of the ancient demon of the Wind Demon country. She entered this place and began her inheritance. She would never forget the moment she accepted it, the demonic voice that echoed within her soul. I can grant you power, power enough to take your revenge, but the price is that your divine sense and soul will slowly erode until you become my vessel. I am willing, as long as I can have my revenge. Yao Shixu inhaled deeply. Then she continued to absorb the death aura pain flooding her body until she nearly lost consciousness. Raising her right hand, now entirely blue, her nails gleaming with a cold light, she drew a deep breath. Then, without hesitation, she slashed open her left arm. The pain was intense, causing her body to tremble. Yet her face remained indifferent. She had long grown accustomed to such torment. Endless death aura surged into the wound. As it poured in, the wound slowly closed, forming yet another scar. Wang Lin, I will never let you go. Her soul's cry surged like a storm echoing through the heavens. At that moment, Wang Lin stepped out from the vortex in the sky. The instant he appeared, his mind trembled. His gaze turned sharply toward the Wind Demon country. For a fleeting breath, he sensed a monstrous resentment directed at him. That feeling came and vanished just as quickly as though it had never existed. Behind him, Situ Nan and the others emerged. They hovered silently in the air, looking down below. Aside from Master Hollow Wind, it was the first time the rest had come here. Even the three Chen brothers, though they belonged to a rank 7 cultivation country, had never shown interest in the demon spirit land before. Now that they had arrived, they could not help but observe their surroundings. Returning to a place once familiar, Wang Lin felt a trace of regret. His first thought was not the celestial cave. Instead, it was the soul-refining tribe. Back then, he had fled in haste. There had been no time to look back. Now, recalling it, a quiet regret stirred within him. The soul-refining tribe was created to fulfill Master Dun Tian's final wish. I wonder if it still exists. And 13. Wang Lin could not forget 13, the man who had followed him with unwavering loyalty. In all his life, there had only been one such person. As the thought of 13 surfaced, another figure appeared in his mind. Hu Pao. 13's loyalty, Hu Pao's betrayal. The contrast was sharp, carved deeply into Wang Lin's memory. He could not forget the day he had slaughtered his way through an army of over 100,000 within the demon General's city, all to save those two. At that time, he had not known of Hu Pao's betrayal. But even if he had known, he still would have acted the same. He could not forget the words he had spoken that day as he looked toward the heavens as though proving his own Tao. There are things in this world that are destined and things that are not. Cultivators seek immortality, seeking to escape fate. They avoid calamity and embrace the heavens. 13 and Hu Pao have no true relation to me. Yet I defied the demon general. I defied the demon country itself. To those who pursue only benefit, such actions are meaningless. I am neither gentleman nor villain, neither sincere nor hypocritical. It is simply that there are things I must do. I, Wang Lin, do not walk this path to follow the Tao of the heavens. I walk it so that my heart will hold no regret. From this perspective, I am unfit to be a cultivator. But there are things I must do. If I do not save 13, then what Tao am I even seeking? Wang Lin let out a quiet sigh. His gaze swept across the familiar world. He raised his hand and tapped his storage bag. A compass no larger than his palm appeared. This was the key required to enter the fourth cave. He handed it to Situ Nan, explaining how to loosen certain restrictions. Situ Nan looked at him meaningfully. He understood Wang Lin well enough. Wang Lin intended to meet old acquaintances. Situ Nan did not hesitate. With his cultivation alongside Master Hollow Wind, the silver-clad woman, the 3 Chen brothers, and Big Head, breaking through the restrictions would not be difficult. Only the final restriction would pose true challenge. Following Wang Lin's method, Situ Nan activated the token. Their figures vanished as they entered the celestial cave, beginning the process of forcefully breaking through its layers of restrictions. Within the cave, restrictions were countless. Only by breaking all of them could one reach the core. That was their goal. Compared to the All-Seer and Ling Tianhu, who had already shattered all restrictions in their respective caves, Wang Lin lagged behind. However, Wang Lin still held the cave's token. As long as he remained within the demon spirit land, he could enter at will. With his current cultivation, he merely needed to make slight adjustments to the token, ensuring that the cave's spirit would not attack Situ Nan and the others. After resolving this, Wang Lin fell into brief thought. Then his divine sense spread outward. With his Nirvana Scryer cultivation, his divine sense easily covered the entire demon spirit land. At that same moment, within the soul-refining tribe, the black stone statue they worshipped suddenly emitted a dark glow. The black light was cold, endless biting cold. A mysterious force surged upward into the sky. The instant it touched Wang Lin's divine sense, the two merged. The black light grew stronger. It spread, covering more than half the sky above the fire demon country. Countless members of the soul-refining tribe stared in stunned silence at the ancestral statue. It was unclear who reacted first. But suddenly someone knelt, then another, then countless more. Almost all members of the tribe dropped to their knees, their eyes burning with excitement. The ancestor's spirit has manifested. The ancestor's spirit has manifested. The cries spread like thunder echoing across the city. Hua's eyes filled with disbelief as he looked toward 13. At that moment, 13 trembled. His gaze was fixed on the sky. Within him, a faint yet undeniable feeling rose. Ancestor has returned. Hua inhaled sharply. Ecstasy flickered in his eyes. He respected Wang Lin deeply, but beyond respect there was fear. It was this fear that had restrained him. Even as the soul-refining tribe grew stronger, he had never dared to rebel. Wang Lin's eyes shone with a strange light. Through his divine sense, he saw the soul-refining tribe. It had expanded greatly, yet that was not what shocked him. What shook him was the mysterious power that had just merged with his divine sense. For over 1,000 years, Wang Lin had encountered countless forms of power, but never anything like this. He could not describe it. In the moment it merged with him, countless images flooded his mind. Every image showed the soul-refining tribe worshipping the statue. Every single one. Their devotion was absolute. Their fanaticism beyond reason. It was as though, should the statue give a command, they would follow it without hesitation, even unto death without regret. Such terrifying fervor caused even Wang Lin to feel moved. For hundreds of years, millions of tribe members had worshipped this statue. From that worship, this strange and incomprehensible power had been born. While pondering, Wang Lin stepped forward. His figure vanished. When he reappeared, he stood above the capital of the fire demon country. From there he saw it. Millions, kneeling. To speak of millions sounded insignificant, but to witness it, an endless sea of people covering the land. Flags rose everywhere, swaying in the wind. The wails of soul fragments filled the heavens. The moment Wang Lin appeared, The soul fragments shrieked sharply as if recognizing their true master. Hua's body trembled. A level of excitement unseen for centuries erupted within him. He stared at Wang Lin and spoke, his voice shaking. Hua greets ancestor. I welcome ancestor's return. At once people began to look up. They saw him. And in that instant their minds roared. There was no doubt. They recognized him. The figure they had worshipped for hundreds of years. Their ancestor, Wang Lin. The statue was carved in his image. Ancestor. It truly is ancestor. Ancestor has returned. He has not abandoned us. Ancestor has returned. Shouts surged forth, filled with frenzy and disbelief. They rolled like thunder. Millions became stirred at once. Even the earth trembled. Even the clouds scattered. Welcome, ancestor. It was unknown who cried it first. But soon millions of voices roared in unison. Even Wang Lin felt his ears ring. He saw streams of white mist rise from the people flowing toward the statue at the center of the capital. The statue absorbed it all. It grew smoother, more complete. A faint demonic aura emanated from it. The gazes of the soul-refining tribe were filled with a fervor so intense that even Wang Lin was shaken. 13 pushed through the crowd. He rushed forward and knelt before Wang Lin. His body trembled, yet his voice rang louder than it had in hundreds of years. 13 welcomes the return of ancestor. His voice ignited the crowd further. More white mist rose, surging into the black statue. Soul flags began to wave violently. It was as though a black ocean had appeared. Soul fragments burst forth from the flags, shrouding the entire fire demon country in darkness. Their number was beyond counting. Wang Lin looked upon the tribe. Some faces seemed familiar, though their names eluded him. They were elders from long ago. I have returned. His voice descended slowly from the sky. 3 simple words. Yet to the tribe they struck like heavenly thunder. Cheers erupted. As the cries of the tribe echoed, Wang Lin descended. Step by step he lowered himself. At last he stood upon the city wall of the fire demon country. After hundreds of years, he had returned once more.